there's something special about Miami at this point in time that if we position the product correctly, we can pursue that while at the same time leveraging our Cuban heritage, the fact that we were the first beer ever produced in Cuba, and because of sort of that positioning, this is very important as well, is go after a broad market.
Sure.
Right? Because if you think about it from a pure market segmentation perspective, a craft
segmentation, that is a big word.
Big word. Big marketing word.
You're listening to Pancon Podcast. I am Nick Jimenez. I'm joined, as usual, by the Pastelito Push-Up Bra sponsored chef and 8th grade basketball MVP, Michael Beltran. Say hello to the people. Oh, man, sound effects. This is good.
Yep.
And we are joined today by guest Manny Portuondo. Manny is exhausted because he has been through a period of opening Miami's most talked about new brewery.
Yeah.
Cervecería La Tropical, which I really like saying.
Say it again. Say it one more time.
Cervecería La Tropical.
Wow, you should really hire this guy to do all your commercials.
That's $100 an episode.
That's true.
Ads at datemag.com.
That's true.
That's cheap.
Yeah, poo, you take. Jeez, that's fuck. You heard it here first, everyone. You're getting a fucking deal.
These are very reasonable prices.
Yeah.
So Manny, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me. Really excited about being with you.
I'm actually
today.
shocked that you're here, man. I mean, after opening, like 4 days ago.
Yeah, 4
right?
days ago. It's been.
I know how that feels, and none of my locations are quite as large as your brewery. So thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you. It's been incredible. We've had a really overwhelming demand for the beer, the food, the ambiance. I was telling you earlier, we have had over 500 covers a day between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Actually, Sunday, which is kind of interesting, was our biggest day.
Yeah.
And it was fun to see also the types of customers that we got. How there's different consumers at different day parts and different days. And Friday was a big happy hour type of crowd that then morphed into dinner.
Yep.
Saturday was a little bit older, people more dining out and trying the beer. And Sunday was just my favorite day. It was multi-generational.
Yep.
Abuelos, abuelas, sons and daughters, kids all over the place, dogs. It was a lot of fun, actually.
I mean, you're because I've visited twice now. I visited once when it was nothing. There was a shell of a warehouse, and you were like, the kitchen's going to go here. And I'm like, cool, the kitchen's going to go here. And then there's going to be a bar here. And I'm like, cool, there's going to be a bar here. I mean, I understand what it's like to like envision that in your head and look at an empty space and be like, we're going to do all these things here because now I'm doing that on a daily basis. Like, okay, well, the coffee machine's going to go here. And it's like, only you can understand it.
Or then, people like you, right, that have done it before.
Or, and then I went, what was it, 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, and it's like impressively gorgeous. I mean, everything is like so spot on, and I think it's just like it's a location that caters so well to like this time of year, outdoors. It's beautiful out. Sunday, I feel like is going to be a big day for you in general because it's like people want to go out, especially now. People want to be outside. People want to hang out. People want to chill. It's like it's got a great, and I haven't even been while it's been open, but you can see the ambiente is already like that.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful place. I've told you the story. I'll tell it to your audience as well. It's something that I've been dreaming about in my head for 23 years, right?
Right.
And I had the opportunity to realize that vision with an investment partner like Heineken that I otherwise would not have been able to do what I put together. And what's so neat about it is that as you enter La Tropical, you enter first a tropical botanical garden, right, in the middle of the city that's been curated with trees that we flew in literally on cranes, right, and plopped into what was a parking lot before, which is pretty amazing. And then, once you finish I have a Cuban ceiba in the garden, sausage tree, bunch of royal palms, all types of native Florida palms, from a thatch palm, a cornupicia palm, a zacatenca palm. I have a wall of orchids with over 100 orchids of all different species.
Oh, I didn't see that.
You didn't see it. Wasn't installed when you were
Oh,
there.
yeah?
Yeah, those are the things that
I gotta go
kind of
back
changed.
now.
Yeah,
See the wall of orchids.
That old, one of the things that, even though we I'll talk about the building in a second. When we redeveloped the building, one of the only things that we didn't touch was the inside portion of an exterior wall that is the exterior wall that basically divides the property from the sidewalk in. And that wall, the reason why I didn't touch it is a really cool story, because that building that we bought in the 50s was a Pillsbury bread distribution facility. And so that wall had these built-in little slots that were part of that wall, which is where the truckers would bring out the bread pans that would carry the breads, and they would stick them in these little grooves, these little slots, and they would wash down the pans before they bring them in. And I said, oh man, how cool. What if we leave that? And working with our landscape architects, we came up with the idea, what if we do an orchid wall within those slots? And it came out just spectacular. They put driftwood all over the frames.
Oh, I saw it, but I didn't see the orchids.
Just beautiful. So anyhow, this botanical garden, when you come in, you also notice a live music stage for live performances. So we had live music this weekend, which was fantastic to see. And then once you're done with that, you actually enter the space. When you enter the space, it's an indoor-outdoor type of space with these huge glass garage doors that divide the inside from the outside. And then once you walk inside, you see a floor-to-ceiling glass dividing the brewery from the tap room. And the brewing is spectacular. I tell everybody that the brewery in and of itself is pretty cool, but that isn't that spectacular. It's just another fucking brewery, right? What makes it different is the scale of the brewery. And the scale of the brewery is, probably makes us one of the top 3, 4, 5 largest craft breweries from a production perspective in the state of Florida, in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
Right? Most larger production facilities would be behind a commercial district in an airport or some. We're in a downtown location,
right?
And we have this mega facility, and that's what makes it, I think, so, at least for me as a sort of a beer geek, so cool.
I think we're jumping the gun here. Mm-hmm. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We're talking about the thing as it stands now. I'd like to go back in history, because you said this has been a 23-year kind of unfolding of the thing. So let's talk about how long and why this has taken so long. And I know that obviously you shared the story with me when we met over a year ago. But obviously I was fascinated by the story. I think it's incredible. So talk about how that all worked out. I mean, going from 23 years of thinking about it to the way it stands now, what happened 23 years ago to now?
Yeah, so it's a really cool story. It's really been my passion project in life. Everyone has one. And this was mine. And so the story starts in 1888. My great-great-grandfather, a gentleman by the name of Federico Colli, he's a large landowner in Cuba and a developer. So he developed the Colli neighborhood in Havana, the Miramar neighborhood in Havana, the Vedado neighborhood in Havana. And in the late 1800s, he sells 100 acres of land on the outskirts of Havana in an area called El Bosque de La Habana to another family called the Blanco Herrera family. There was an industrialist family that had other businesses as well in Cuba.
100 acres?
100 acres.
Wow, that's a lot of land.
100 acres.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. And it's, this. If you've been to Cuba before, I was there once in 2015. El Bosque de La Habana is this magical place. It's like this. It's a forest on the outskirts of Havana, and has a river that runs through it. It's called the Almendares River, that starts at the mouth of the Atlantic Ocean of the bay, and then runs all the way in through the inner part of Cuba. And so this river cuts through El Bosque de La Habana, and again, my grandfather owned a lot of that land, and he sells 100 acres of land to the Blanco Herrera family. And the Blanco Herrera family, which are my partners today, I'll talk about that in a second. They founded the Cuban beer industry with this brewery called Cervecería La Tropical in 1888. And La Tropical beer, la primera cerveza cubana, the first beer ever brewed on Cuban soil. And so that's sort of where it starts. By 1960, the brewery La Tropical becomes the largest brewery in Cuba, producing over 60% of all the annual production capacity of the island with multiple brands. We're all from Miami, and we're all Cuban, so we know the Cuban story very well. In 1960, Cuban Revolution, private property is nationalized, and a lot of our families, and my family specifically, flees Cuba, and we're all born here, product of that exodus. And really, between 1960 and 1998, outside of Cuba, the brand vanishes. It's gone. It disappears. I had heard, as a kid, I had heard stories growing up, but I don't know about you guys. When I was 15 years old, I can give a shit about Cuba or anything else. I was worried about where I was going to get laid and with what girl, and I was playing football. That was the furthest from my mind at that point in time.
Days.
Okay, so but then I got to my middle to late 20s, and the chip changed in my head, right? And the chip went from not giving a shit to where did I come from, and why are we here, and what was the story, and hey, tell me again, Grandma, about those stories that you.
Where were you at that age? Like, where did you live? You lived here still?
Yeah. I was born and raised in Miami, a Westchester boy, Coral Park Elementary, a boy, and then we moved away, and I ended up coming back for high school. And I went to Belen Jesuit here in
Another
Miami.
Belen graduate.
Yeah, these Belen
Pancom
graduates.
Podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like Nick is stacking the books. Here he goes with Nick stacking the books again.
Nick
with
is
more
bringing all his
Belen
Belen
graduates.
friends to the podcast.
Speaking of man for others over here.
Yeah, I got it.
You just got some points for Father Willie.
Yeah.
So.
Who is Father Willie and what does he do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, a little side story. So we're getting ready to open up the brewery, and of course, you go to Belen, you got a bunch of priests that are your friends, right? So I called one of them up, Father Eddie, which was a very influential priest, and when I was there, he's now the head priest at Jesuit Church in downtown Miami. So Father Eddie, I need a favor. I have this wonderful brewery. I need to pour some holy water on this thing. I gotta get some good luck going.
You got to.
Yeah.
You got to, man.
So actually,
Sage, holy water, whatever the fuck.
Whatever is gonna work. I need it. So he came in about 2 weeks ago and brought like a big old bottle of holy water, and he sprayed it on every piece of machine throughout the kitchen, the thing. And then I said, Father, hey, by the way, I have this centrifuge filter, which is a very important piece of machinery.
We got one.
In the brewery that helps, filter the beer. And I said, Father, this thing's been giving me a lot of headache the past couple of weeks. It's having some mechanical issues. Can you give it a little extra dose? So he went in there and he poured out the bottle. I can swear to God, the machine's working right now. The holy water worked. We changed a couple of the parts too, but the holy water.
It's really
worked.
distilled water.
So it bears mentioning, given the type of business this is, we're talking about Jesuits. So how much beer did they go back home with?
Exactly. They brewed that stuff before it was even invented.
Jesuits will work for booze.
But anyhow, so going back to the story, my late 20s, I started getting really interested with the family story. I had heard about my great-grandfather and these lands next to the brewery. As a matter of fact, my grandmother's home was near the brewery. And so I said, man, this is nuts. How did that just vanish and disappear? And no one did anything about it. I mean, obviously people did tried things about it, and they went to jail, and some got executed. My dad's a Bay of Pigs veteran. Spent 2 years in political jail in Cuba. So yeah, a lot of, but no one did anything about the business. And I said, you know what? I got to do something about it. I want to do something about it. And I began to research everything that I can possibly read and get my hands on La Tropical. I spent, I'd say, good 4 months of my life at the University of Miami Cuban Archives, reading every single piece of literature that's ever been written about La Tropical, whether in a magazine, in a book, or in an ad. and I did that. There was no internet, at least not like we know it today. It was
Right.
on microfiche, so
Not-
I became an expert.
Not the Google machine.
No. You had to go and put the time, baby, in front of one of those machines. You find the microfiche and start spinning that thing. And I became an expert at picking out the L's of La Tropical when the thing was moving like 100 miles an hour, right? The film. And anyhow, I read everything that I could read. And more importantly, I was able to find who was the last management team at La Tropical pre-1960. What were their names? What did they do? And because of that, I found the last master brewer of La Tropical, whose name was Julio Fernandez Seyes. And then once I identified him through this research, I hit the Abuelita network in Miami
Yeah.
to see who knew him.
That's a thick network.
Yeah, it's a thick
That's-
network,
Yeah,
man.
you can
The
get all the
Abuelita
info you
network.
need there.
You cannot get by in Miami without the Abuelita network, right?
That's
The
correct.
Abuelita network is deep, brother.
Yeah.
You know, it goes
They sponsor us
underground.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sponsor us also.
And so through that network,
We'll be invoicing you soon.
oh yeah, they know everything and everybody. Okay, let me tell you. So anyhow, through that Abuelita network, I actually found Julio in 1999, actually 1998, and of course, like everything in Miami, the guy lived like 10 blocks from my house.
Oh, amazing.
Okay, he lived in a condominium in Coral Gables on Biltmore Way. I lived on
Wow.
Catalonia and Granada, so it was like literally 10 blocks from my house. And I had been looking for the guy for over a year, and I couldn't find him. So I found him, and so stepping back one step further. So that research, we made contact with the Blanco Herrera family, Ramon Blanco Herrera, who's now become a very good friend and a partner. They were the founding family of La Tropical in Cuba. I said, Ramon, I've done all this research. Our families did business together in Cuba 135 years ago, and that
Yeah.
time was 120 something. And I want to do this project. I want to do this project. I think someone has to save this brand. It meant too much to too many people. It employed thousands of people in Cuba. It was part of the social fabric in Cuba. Let's join forces. If our great grandfathers did it 135 years ago, why can't we do it today? And so we did that. We joined forces, became partners, and over the past 23 years, I've either acquired, registered, or taken the Cuban government to court in about 15 countries throughout the world and taken back all of our trademarks,
Love that.
all of our registrations,
Love that.
all of our commercial rights, and because of that, we're in the position that we are today.
What was the breaking point, though? I remember when we talked last time. Well, I mean, when you told me the story originally, there was one time that really made a difference, taking them to court and that whole thing, of when you won one certain case that really.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that when someone steals something from you, it's very difficult to prove that you own it or that the person who stole it owned it. So we took them to court and they didn't show up.
Shocker.
How are they going to prove that they own it? Right. And so that was the precedent.
Because
and
they didn't
everything.
own it, because they stole it.
Exactly.
Like they stole everything else.
Exactly.
Right.
So that really, was the snowball effect that had to have occurred that no one had tried, that began to open up everything else. And until I had brewed it ever since 1998, but it was really more of it wasn't my day job, right? I was doing it as a passion project. I had a day job.
What was your day job?
So my day job until the middle 2000s was in the beer business. I worked for Anheuser-Busch, the world's
yeah?
largest brewer.
Oh, yeah, they're big. I've heard of them.
You've heard of those guys. And then I actually left the beer business for a while and worked for Burger King Corporation. So I'm a beer and burgers guy.
Also another big company.
Yeah. I was with Burger King for almost 7 years.
Burger King does good work.
They do good work.
I want to co-sign it. They do solid work.
Yeah.
Burger King is also helmed by a Belen graduate, Jose
Yes.
Sil.
Jose was at La Tropical
I take it back.
on
I take back
Saturday.
everything I said about Burger King. McDonald's is still better.
If you also like Tim Hortons and Popeye's
And
Chicken,
Popeye's
that's
Chicken,
same company.
Yeah.
Popeyes does make some fucking
Yeah,
good food,
yeah.
man. God bless.
Thanks, Jose.
Yeah.
And you know, and then you know,
Chicken
so
Brothers.
so it was this, you know, really La Tropical was a legal thesis with some commercial application in the United States, mostly in Cuban restaurants, but not in a big way because I didn't have the capital. I hadn't made it my sort of my everyday job, and that all changed in 2016. Like 2015 started changing. 2016 actually happened. So in 2015. I catch wind that the Boston Beer Company was coming to Wynwood with
Concrete Beach.
Concrete Beach.
That's right.
I had, you know, before they had opened, because of my contacts in the beer business, I had caught wind that they were coming. And I had a prior relationship with Jim Cook, the CEO of the Boston Beer Company, from my beer days. So I called Jim. I said, hey, Jim, it's Manny. You remember? Oh, yeah, Manny, I remember you. And, well, hey, listen, I hear you're coming to Wynwood. I said, you know, I don't know if you've been to Miami lately. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But this town is, you know, has a lot of Latin influence. Latin culture is important. Do you have a brand that you're thinking about for this local market? And he goes, well, we're developing it. We don't have anything Latin. I said, well, let me tell you a story about this little brand that I have called La Tropical. And I told him the story. He goes, oh, man, that's a fascinating story. Let's do something together. I said, okay. So I ended up signing a 1-year licensing deal with the Boston Beer Company to do a sneak peek launch of La Tropical in May of 2016 at Concrete Beach.
No way.
And so we launched it. A huge success. The launch party, there was a line that stretched 4 city blocks in Wynwood to come in and try the beer.
Love that.
Okay. It became their number 1 seller in the tap room. And shortly thereafter, and I got a lot of media for it. The media was fantastic, you know, a lot of publicity. And probably a couple of months after the launch, I had unsolicited offers to buy the brand from the Boston Beer Company and probably every major brewery in the world.
Oh, love that.
I ended up selling a majority interest of La Tropical to Heineken.
I've heard of them before.
Yep.
Ads at dademag.com,
Yep.
Heineken. Whenever you want to reach out, Manny's got our number.
And those guys have been awesome. You know, the reason why I had multiple offers, and the reason why I decided to sell to them is they bought into a big way the vision that I had for the brand. And the vision was, oye, I've been comiendo mierda for 23 years with this thing.
Right.
And I'm no longer 28 years old. I'm 54 years old now. And as I tell my kids, I'm going big or I'm going home.
That's right.
And
That's life.
the vision was, let's establish this this brand with a Cuban soul and a Miami lifestyle, and let's build a brewery that is reflective of the global international city that Miami is today.
God damn it, I love that.
Fuck! Anything less, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and so they bought into that, and it's been awesome. We bought a piece of property in Wynwood that they invested behind. So we own a 1-acre property in Wynwood right now. That was the other thing. I said, you know, lease or buy. You know, there's
always buy.
Lease,
buy the dirt.
Buy the dirt, baby. Buy the dirt, and that's been one of the best decisions that was ever made. As you know, prices in Miami keep going through the roof.
What?
Lease
Do
rates
they
are
ever?
crazy. You know,
all these New Yorkers that decide that now we're great.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Fucking A. Listening to the story with Sade in the background and just you know, like.
Oh, I took some video of you swaying uncontrollably to Sade.
Sade. Shout out to Dave Arvelo, my
This is
neighbor.
old school stuff. man.
You
This
may
is
not
stuff.
realize, Mike has a Sade obsession.
Oh, Sade is the queen.
Yeah.
It's the best R&B singer of all time.
This
I
is.
don't know if you want to call it R&B, but whatever. It's just this genre of music. She is the best
It's
of all time.
awesome vibe, you know.
She is incredible. Yeah, I've openly said it. The only concert I will drop serious coin on is Sade's. Like serious coin. That's it.
Did Manny just become your favorite brewer?
Yeah. You know, just funny side story. Heineken. I'd never drank much. The only relation I have to Heineken is growing up. Both my grandparents were big beer drinkers. And it was just like, you know, natural. Like, they're big cooks. So, like, they're always cooking. They would always have a beer in their hand or whatever. And my grandfather always drank Miller High Life. Always. And my grandmother always drank Heineken. Always. And, like, I don't know. It was just what she enjoyed and what he enjoyed, but it is the biggest relation I have to like being very young and watching them cook. And it's, I've always said that how that when I was younger, that the influence I had, that whole experience of watching them cook for a large group of people, and how that influenced me long term. But it's always like her with a Heineken, him with a Miller High Life. There was always a 6-pack of each in the back fridge, not the front fridge, not the fridge in the house, fridge in the back where all the cooking happens. That's where the 2 6-packs live.
And the one of the interesting things about Heineken, and one of the two reasons why I chose to sell to Heineken. One was they bought into the vision. Obviously, they paid a nice price too. I'm not gonna lie, right? So that was nice.
Money is important.
Okay, but it wasn't the reason why I did what I did for 23 years. The second piece is that they didn't demand to buy 100% of the company, and to me that was super important, because if you know the history of Heineken, you know that they're a family-owned business.
Time out. So other people approached you and they wanted 100% of the business?
Or nothing.
Fucking sharks.
Yep.
Fucking sharks. Go on.
Yeah. And Heineken was the only one that was open to any arrangement that I thought would work for me. And that said a lot to me in terms of being able to have a partnership with those types of people. And, and the reason why is that the Dutch are probably the most international people that you've met. They're all, they that little country, the Netherlands in Europe, has spread out all over the world, and they're great business people.
Hola. Yeah, good.
And they're the most international brewers. They're in over 70 countries, and the vast majority of their operations are joint ventures with founding families in each of the countries they operate.
How many joint ventures do they have? Do you know?
Hundreds.
Oh, really?
Hundreds.
No
hundreds,
shit.
Hundreds. In the United States, though, they operate differently, because most of the world they brew Heineken in the country that they're operating under. In the
Right.
U.S., because of how import beer is positioned in this country, it's not brewed in the United States. It's brought in from Holland. It's imported, right?
What's the positioning of import beer? Just because I'm not a beer person, so I don't know.
So that is imported.
So does it cost more to
It costs more to get the product here. It would be cheaper for them to brew.
So to get all the product here, to brew it here, it costs more than them just brewing it over there and then shipping it over there.
No. It costs more to import a beer from Europe and
Okay.
sell it here than to develop the beer here from the beginning.
Got
in
it.
other words, so in most other countries, if they're operating in China or they're operating in Brazil, they're brewing Heineken beer in those countries for that population. In the United
Got it.
States, it's one of the few countries in the world where they don't have a brewing operation. They import their beer and they sell it already finished product.
Got it.
And so the interesting thing is that the only 2 Heineken-owned breweries in the United States, one is La Tropical, so I'm very honored about that.
Amen to that.
And 2 is a craft brewery out of California called Lagunitas.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
And it's kind of interesting that they're both Spanish brands that start with L's.
Yeah.
It's a coincidence, but kind of interesting
Yeah.
that the only 2 Heineken-owned properties in the U.S. are
I had
Latin names that start with L's.
I had no idea that Lagunitas was a Heineken brand. That's great. All right, so
that's a story.
what year? But what year did they purchase? What year did
So
they partner?
that deal was in 2017. We kept it very, very quiet. Didn't really talk about it. And the reason being is that we spent the past really 3.5 years finding a piece of property, acquiring the property, developing the property. COVID hit, so we
what's COVID?
Oh, man.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
That moment in which 23 years of work was vindicated by a large brewer,
Second largest in the world.
right? Purchased, bought into your thing that you've been working for so long. How did that feel?
Oh man, it was an awesome feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It's like winning the Super Bowl.
yeah,
Super Bowl's a big
but,
deal.
it was like one of those, when you work so hard for something, and you overcome so many obstacles to get there. It's not even a feeling of joy. I I started to cry. Right, it was a feeling of just like
Absolutely.
absolute emotion.
If you didn't cry, I don't know,
you know,
if I would have any kind of understanding what you're going through.
It's like,
because
it's like, I mean, you played football, we played sports, both of us, and you win, but winning is so much nicer when you've worked your fucking ass for that win, right?
For sure.
That it didn't come easy.
For sure.
Things that come easy, okay, great, you celebrate.
if it
Things
was
that come
easy,
hard,
everyone would do
yeah,
it.
if it's because of hard work, it's just I don't know, it's just a great feeling,
I mean, I get it, because people ask me all the time why I'm so like entrenched in the Ariete world and like what happens there, and we have other businesses, but like why I know every nook and cranny of that place, because I worked so hard to make sure
the
that
blood,
thing
sweat, and tears.
didn't close, and I worked so hard to even open it that it's like, like it's more of a connection, So
You're passionate about it,
it's even more than passion. It is part of your fiber.
Mm-hmm.
Like people say, like your work isn't your job, but this isn't just work. What you're doing isn't just work. This has been a lifelong thing for you. It's like,
And
I don't know, I get it.
I tell this to Heineken all the time. So I'm now a Heineken employee, and I meet with my partner, once a month, and I say, hey, by the way, Mark, and it was Mark Desane, president of Heineken America, said, hey, Mark, and I jab him, I go, you're paying me for something I do for fucking free, right?
Yeah. I mean, for years, and I get that, because for years I worked that line for free, right? Like I worked my kitchen for free because you believe in the thing.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for getting paid to do it. But I totally understand the fact that you would want to do it for free,
I
because
do it for free.
it's something you absolutely believe in. It's like when you work a 9 to 5 and you work for someone else. I get the disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking forward to the weekend. Like I look forward to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one of those things as a human being develops. Like, what is your purpose?
Yeah, what's your purpose? Why are you here? What do you
you
enjoy doing?
But more so, beer is obviously a thing. But you kept a part of culture alive.
Yeah.
Which for me is like we obviously talk about the Cuba thing here a lot. And keeping part of the culture alive is huge, because the culture in its essence, what was the culture pre-60 years ago has diminished incredibly.
It's funny that you not funny, but I'm glad you raised that point. I can't tell you the amount of, I'm talking about hundreds upon hundreds of messages that I've gotten over the past couple of weeks that we started the entire, publicity push, and I've gotten direct messaging from LinkedIn. I've gotten emails. People have gotten a hold of my emails, my phone number, direct messaging on all of these social media sites of what La Tropical meant to many consumers who enjoyed the beer and the gardens, and as recently as the early 2000s, not just 60 years ago. How many grandkids have and sons and daughters, and in many cases, mothers and fathers, have written to me about a family member that worked there, that was associated there.
It's amazing, right?
That was the salesman there or worked at the production. I was telling my wife the other day, and I said, we should probably do a La Tropical employee family reunion type of thing, right? And it'd be hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Not thousands. I don't know. I got to do it and see. But just when you get that feedback of, hey, thank you for doing this, it's just such a great feeling to know that you're doing, my little piece in trying to save.
It's not a little piece, bro. It's not
our
a little
heritage.
Piece. It's a big thing.
It's
a big thing. Like I think the Cuban culture in general kind of gets overlooked because Hispanic culture in general is so large, and there's a few factions that are huge, and they deserve to be huge. The Mexican culture, the Puerto Rican culture, all of them bring great things to the table. But Cuba has been this like center of the forgotten for the last 60 years because it's just in this abyss of trash for the last 60 years, and it's fucking 90 miles away. Yeah. So the only way that it will never be forgotten is by people like us keeping the thing going. I actually somebody sent me the link to a guy that's in California, another fine dining chef that obviously California's fucking closed, that was doing like pop-ups of like Cuban food. He was a sous chef at Single Thread and doing like good Cuban food on the West Coast. And I reached out to him. I'm like, dude, that's amazing. Thank you so much for keeping the culture alive. Because the culture is, if we let it diminish, you know, we will be rudimentary. Everyone will be drinking the Starbucks latte instead of the colada in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
They'll be happy to get rid of us.
Yeah.
Right? So the more we do what we're doing and make it difficult to be like, I guess, compartmentalized into like American culture, even though, you know, there's theories on that too, but like to continue to keep our things alive is huge, man.
Yeah,
it's
it
huge.
means a lot. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to a lot of people, and I'm just so happy that I can be a part of it. And you know, with the venue that we have, it's the other thing. I mean, we have capacity for 800 people. We have a venue to bring, you know, post COVID, obviously, bring a lot of people together in a significant way. And you know, you bring, you know, music into it, you bring food into it, you bring beer, you have all the components.
That's the Cuban
to
culture,
say,
man.
hey, let's have a party, man. You know,
That's the Cuban culture in
Let's
general.
have a party.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think, so you did a soft opening for 4 days now?
well, no, this was the grand opening.
Grand
yeah.
opening.
This weekend was the grand opening. Last weekend was the soft opening. We'd opened up for the general public on Friday.
Yeah.
On Friday, and like I told you, you know, we were averaging about 500 covers a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which was just amazing.
500 covers, being socially distanced and doing things
It's
the
very
correct way
difficult.
is tough.
Yeah, it's
and,
tough.
and that's amazing.
Yep, and I think it would have been even more. We on Saturday night. And even Friday, we had to tell people that, you know, unless you had a reservation, you couldn't come in. So I had some pissed off people. I tried to apologize as much as we could.
Man,
but
don't worry, people are gonna be pissed off, bro.
Yeah.
Just welcome to my world. It is what it is. People will be pissed off. You got to do what's right for you.
Mhm.
And like, you know, I was telling you before we started recording, is like, less is more.
Mhm.
Right now, it's more important for you to understand the system of the operation than it is to just like open.
Yep.
Because people want to be there. You're gonna be open, bro.
Yeah,
So just, they gotta wait.
yeah.
It is what it is, man. In Miami, there's plenty of shit to do. They can go somewhere else. They will eventually come back, and you just have to make sure when they come back, their experience is fucking golden.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And as a matter of fact, you know, you're right on point. And we made a decision until we get our staffing levels up to be able to handle that size of a crowd on a daily basis. We're not opening on Mondays and Tuesdays. You know,
Right.
It gives us a chance to recuperate the staff, refresh the staff, and gives us time to focus a little bit on building a bigger pipeline of cooks and servers and stuff that will need to handle 500 people a day.
Yeah, you know, experience is huge. And I tell people all the time, like, greed is the killer of good concept. You know, like, when you just want to, like, jam your shit fucking full of people to make money, the end result, the long-term result, will be worse.
Mhm.
So you need to be patient.
Mhm.
And, like, it's everything in life is not about making money, you know? So it's all about, like, this person had a great time. They're going to want to come back.
Yeah.
Someone else, they need to come. They need to have a great time. They want to come back. It's that residual effect that will continue being fruitful for you.
So I got you know, as you know, when you open a restaurant, you have reviews on Google and Yelp and
What is a
and
review?
OpenTable and
What
and,
is a review?
And then now with social media, you have all types.
What
I-
is social media?
I received, you know, we have hundreds of them, and but there was one that stood out that I want to
Okay.
talk about because I thought it was just so cool. So I received a message from a gentleman by the name of William Muir, Billy Muir, 77 years old,
Oh, that's cool.
Bay of Pigs veteran.
Oh, now I love this story.
Okay, who decided that he wanted to support La Tropical, and on Saturday he took his family
Amazing.
of 8 people, his daughters, his son, and some of his grandkids, to La Tropical to celebrate his 77th birthday.
Amazing.
And he had a wonderful experience. He wrote a review where he said that this was the 4th best event in his life. The first being
Fuck, man. 77 years, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. So it was his his marriage to his wife was one of them. Fighting for Cuba was the second one.
Amen to that.
Being released from prison was the third.
Jeez.
What
who is this guy? Can we get him on the podcast?
From political prison, obviously for 2506, and then this one was, and the reason why was not just because of La Tropical, but La Tropical offered him the opportunity to bring his family so that he can retell his story.
Amazing.
About Cuba, of where we come from, of why this is important, how we're all connected, how we need to maintain unity through generations. And he was able to use the venue of La Tropical and the history of La Tropical
Right.
to communicate that in a way that if he would have done it at his home, people wouldn't have given a shit, maybe.
The culture, man.
The culture.
The culture.
What we were talking about. And I said,
Yeah.
that made my entire week.
Right. And I think that is the entirety of why, at least why I do this, why like Ariad exists, why Chugs will exist, like it similarly, but not to that extent, because that's an incredible story. And I don't know, Nick, can you contact this guy so we can have him on the podcast? We'll go to his house. He's 77.
We can do it.
I'll put you in contact with Billy.
Because that's an incredible story, and I want to know more about it. But like there was an older gentleman sitting at the table. I always feel bad for the people that are sitting directly behind me when I'm expediting because I'm a savage, right? Like when I expedite, obviously people have called me exhibit on reviews.
X to the Z.
Yeah, that Nick has read.
I heard you like foie on your foie, so I put foie on your foie so you can follow your foie.
Right. On this podcast, we've read that review, and I love that comparison, actually. And an older gentleman was eating with his family for brunch on Saturday. And, the tables that are right by me, I always pay special attention, so I'm making sure that, the food is coming, whatever. And they just seem to be having a great time. And at the end of their meal, he gets up, and he goes, he just looks at me and goes, do you know who sings the song? I go, yeah, it's La Lupe. I obviously know all the music because I choose all the music.
Right.
And he was like, you're Michael? And I said, yeah, I'm Michael. He goes, great fucking job. And he was like, you're Cuban. And he knew the whole story.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He knew the whole story. He was like, this was incredible. Thank you so much for doing this. And like, that is in essence why I do this.
Yeah.
Because of stuff like that.
Yeah,
not because of the money, not because of the ego, not because of any
Not
of that
because of the
shit.
hours.
Definitely not because of the hours, but it's because of the keeping the culture alive, keeping the
there's
thing
something
alive,
about
keeping the
that
thing going.
Fuels all of us.
I think it fuels the few that find purpose in it, because it's not purpose for everybody.
Yep.
It's very indicative on the person, like, to work for something for 23 years. I'm young, so I worked for this for 10, 12 years, and then it happened, and I'm grateful for that, but 23 years is a long time, man.
You gotta be committed.
You gotta be committed.
You gotta be a stubborn son of a bitch.
That relentless attitude for me is like the best thing, man. It's the best thing. But look at it now. Yeah. Being a brand of Heineken, being able to produce a beer that was lost to a culture and to a people and to a thing. And I'm sure a lot of people look at it as a financial gain, which is obviously a thing.
Yeah.
But it's still super fucking amazing.
Yeah, thank you,
You
Mike.
should be very proud of that.
Thank you.
I'm proud of that. It's not even my beer. I'll drink it anywhere that it's available.
Well, it'll soon be. We launched in the tap room right now. We have 3 brands: La Tropical, La Original, whose formula dates back to 1888. Really smooth, amber Vienna style lager.
I drank it.
You drank it.
It's delicious.
That'll be the flagship. 4.5% alcohol. Very drinkable, especially with a frita cubana. That's my favorite. You can't go wrong with that. We have another brand.
Available here at Ariad on the happy hour menu is the Frita Cubana by Michael Beltran.
And La Tropical. Yeah. And we have another brand, which is we're calling a Suave IPA called Nativo Key. And it's a new brand. Obviously, didn't exist in Cuba with that name, and it's a play on the Florida Keys and Key Biscayne and the Keys lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a tropical IPA. Again, only 4.5% in alcohol, but a nice kick to it in terms of the bitterness. Very tropical floral notes and passion fruit and mango. And then I got to tell the story of this double IPA because it's a fun story. So, I asked our brewers, that in addition to these 2 flagship beers that we were going to launch, that I wanted to test the limits of this new German brewing system that we had put in.
Okay.
And this is a mega brewing system, really top of the line. And I said, we got to brew like a double IPA, real rich, complex, thick beer to see if we can brew that through this system.
I'm sorry, just so people have context, what's comparable?
What would be comparable on a double IPA? In terms of a brand, you're talking about?
Just like something that's maybe rudimentary commercial-wise that people would know.
There's not a lot of commercial double IPAs.
Okay,
You'll find them more often in tap rooms.
Okay.
Right, because they're very heavy beers that don't have a lot of.
Is Guinness something that's comparable?
No. Guinness. People have a misconception on Guinness.
Guinness
is
one of my favorite beers.
Yeah,
one of my favorite
too.
beers.
And this time of year,
Guinness and a Jameson is like my go-to.
Guinness. People think Guinness is a very heavy beer because it's dark.
No, but it's not.
It's not. It's super
delicious.
Smooth beer,
God.
low alcohol.
Guinness and a Jameson. Oh God.
Many nights. So going back to the double IPA, double IPA is a very complex beer. It has a double hopping, a dry hopping process where you hop in the brew house and in the whirlpool, but then you also hop when it's in fermentation with something called a hop gun, which is really cool. It's like this mechanical device that you stick a hose in it and you shoot hops into the fermenter. It's really cool.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time. You boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it's really cool. And
that's a sound effect we'll use again. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. It's a good time.
So we're brewing this double IPA and we're still learning the system. It's a brand new system. Like anything, you got to calibrate the system and make sure you understand how it works. And brewers overpitched the yeast, so they basically added more yeast than what they should have to this double IPA. And long and behold, it fermented very, very quickly, quicker than normal.
Heard that.
And what should have been a 7%, 8% max spec beer in terms of alcohol, when they reported to me what the spec of the beer was, it was at 9.8, almost 10% alcohol.
All right. That's a good Saturday night.
Man,
all right.
Double IPA, 10% alcohol. You guys, what the fuck did you guys do here? And we had these all these plans. We were going to do this double IPA. We were going to call it after one of the trees in our garden, after the Gumbo Limbo tree, because we have this thing. These beers, we're going to call them after the trees in our garden. And when they came back and said, "No, Manny, we have a problem," I said, "Well, what, Houston? What's the problem?"
Houston,
what's
we have
the problem?
a problem.
Well, it's almost 10%. I go, coño, I can't call that shit Gumbo Limbo. It doesn't even make sense. I said, let's call it gasolina.
Shout out to Daddy Yankee over there in Puerto Rico with all our Boricua friends.
Daddy Yankee, if you have a new album coming out, that's
a great
name.
Dale, dale, gasolina.
I'm sorry, as per mine and Nick's conversation earlier, we haven't had the approval to use this line, but we have used it.
That's my parting recommendation right here.
Right.
So we christened it Gasolina, and it's been a hit, man. People have loved the name. We're having a lot of fun telling the story, a lot of fun ordering the beer. Dame una gasolina, and the people,
You guys are living La Vida Loca over there.
So
Relax, Nick. We're about to get a cease and desist here. Relax, Desmond, whatever. Desmond Child's coming for us.
We've launched them in the tap room. We're getting ready to package next week La Original and Nativo Key in both cans and kegs. And hopefully by early March, we'll be distributing that product to other bars, restaurants, and
I can't wait to carry it all everywhere.
Thank you.
I can't wait to carry it everywhere. I mean, the story it gives me, as the kids say, the feels. Right? That's what the kids say now.
All the feels.
I'm all in my feels with this.
Oh.
Yeah, someone told me that earlier. It gave me the feels, and I was like, all right, got it.
You said, I hate that, but I'll use it later.
No, I'm okay. I get the context of it, right?
You're
So-
hip. You're
Huh?
hip.
I'm hip.
Yeah, you're hip.
I'm hip. Yeah.
You wear beanies.
Listen, the beanie happened today because I woke up at 4:45 this morning and I wasn't sure if it was gonna be cold.
That thing must smell great.
Fuck off. It's throw me a bone here, man. Jesus Christ. So you're open.
We're open.
Beers are happening. March things will roll out for large production
Yep.
for other people to buy.
Other people to buy.
And how are you feeling?
Oh man, just awesome. I'm humbled by all the feedback. I'm excited about finally realizing this vision in a big way. I'm ecstatic about the beer. I'm ecstatic about the place. I had always envisioned not just a brewery. In my mind, for the past 23 years, I wanted a full cultural immersion experience, not only in some of the things that we brought back, and so it's interesting. So I've never wanted to copy what was in the past. I don't believe in copying the past. The past is the past.
When you say copying, do you mean
I want to interpret the past.
okay, that's cool. I love that. I'm all
Okay.
about interpretation.
Yeah. So things you don't. The whether it's the beer, whether it's the gardens, whether it's the architecture, you can't copy what was a masterpiece in Cuba. And anyone trying to copy a masterpiece is going to fail. What you
Hold
can
on,
do
time out.
is
Nick, are you okay? Nick, I'm worried. The podcast will end if Nick cannot continue.
I mean, this thing is still recording if I keel over, so it's
Yeah, we always have next week.
So what I wanted to do with La Tropical was to reinterpret it for
Sure.
today's consumers.
Yeah, re-envision.
Re-envision
Right.
what that was and put a spin on it that was relevant to 2021, the consumers that we have here in Miami, which
Sure.
are different than what was in Cuba, 60 years ago.
Miami and the world, really.
And the world. And so, what we've envisioned is, like I said, is this Cuban brand that has a Cuban heart and a Cuban heartbeat and soul, and never forgetting our past. We will celebrate our past, but going forward, it's all about a Miami lifestyle. We were talking about it. Everybody and their mother wants to move here now, right? Whether you're
Yeah.
a corporation, whether you're a tech firm, an investment banking firm, a private
Yeah.
equity firm, or you're stuck in you're some schlep in New York, stuck in an apartment. Everybody
before you thought
wants
we were
to
shit, and
Yeah.
now you want to come here. You're
Everybody
welcome.
was- So, why? Well, we got this friggin' weather that's amazing, other than maybe a month or two throughout the summer. But then again, we have a pool or a beach, and you solve that problem, or air conditioning, you solve that problem. So you have this wonderful weather. We have a city that really, from when I grew up, it's changed dramatically. It's
Sure.
no
For
longer
sure.
even just a gateway city; it's a global city now.
Correct.
Right? I mean, this is a place that
We are a gateway to the global community.
to the global community, not just Latin
150%.
America anymore. It used to
Right.
be just Latin America. Now it's a global city. We have an investment climate from a tax perspective that's fantastic, right? I mean,
You're welcome.
No state income tax, right? You're in New York, you're screwed.
You're welcome, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yep. And now we have a mayor that's has his arms wide open, welcoming everybody. So we're gonna get that. We're gonna put it in, try to package all that shit inside of a Tropical can and
Right.
sell it everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah, we could get the mayor out of the Tropical can, but everyone else we can put them in the can.
Was that your attempt to contain yourself?
Yeah, it was my attempt to contain myself. We don't want to put the mayor.
Not the biggest Francis Suarez fan over here.
No, it's not even that. It's like I'm not whoring myself out to the West Coast. Never.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
that's
stay
a whole
on
other
topic.
thing.
We'll stay on topic. This is everyone out there in the YouTube world. This is Nick keeping me on topic. Nice, good job.
Everybody wants to come here, right? And so I think there's something special about Miami at this point in time that if we position the product correctly, you know, we can pursue that while at the same time leveraging our Cuban heritage, the fact that, you know, we were the first beer ever produced in Cuba, and because of sort of that positioning, this is very important as well, is go after a broad market.
Sure.
Right? Because if you think about it from a pure market segmentation perspective, a craft
segmentation, that is a big
Ooh,
word.
big word,
That's a
big marketing word. Right? Nick is a marketing guy.
Segmentation. Nick,
Nick
you're
is
gonna
a
have
marketing
to
guy. He could probably
you're gonna have to
translate.
Google segmentation
Yeah.
for our listeners.
Apologies
he-
to the
he-
explorers in our audience.
He went to Belen, exactly.
Joaquin, if you're out there,
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
Nick. I'm sorry.
So simply said, craft beer is, and the craft beer industry is a very young industry in
Sure.
Miami. While
Yeah.
it developed in the west coast of the United States and even in the Northeast 20 to 25 and 30 years ago, in the South Florida market, in Miami specifically, it's only been around for less than 7 or 8 years.
Correct.
And so the size of that market is about a sixth share of the overall beer market. It's very small. Imported beer in Miami is close to 50% of the overall
Totally
market
makes
share.
sense to me.
And so if you have a brand like La Tropical where you can, and I like to use the expression dance because Cubans got to dance.
We got to dance.
I don't
I'm not a
dance.
dancer,
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
dance. We got
So
rhythm.
we got to dance.
We got
between,
rhythm.
We got to dance between the craft and the import market, leveraging whatever attribute we think makes sense when we're focused on either markets. Instead of going after a 6% share of market, we're going after a 56% share of market.
Love that.
And that's the vision. And then if La Tropical can do this right and play on both sides of the market, we have a chance of having a lot of success.
I think something you said was very important when you say re-envisioning the culture, because there's certain factions of, I think, selling our culture and cheapening that, right? Which is not your goal, which I think is huge, right? Like selling the, I won't go into specifics, but like just cheapening the brand of Cuban culture, because Cuban culture is super in depth and it goes back a long time. So to keep it real and keep it honest and keep doing like what you believe in and what the culture is all about is huge, right? Because I think in essence that's what our culture is missing. You know, like stay true to the culture, be real to the culture, and then, you know, continue that over time so other people learn about the culture and how special and real it is the goal for people like you and I.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, to say it really simple, it's, you know, you're trying to do it, I'm trying to do it, is a way to bring people together.
We're not trying.
Simple as that.
We are doing now.
Yeah, bringing
we are doing.
people
You are no
together.
longer trying. You are doing, sir. You are doing. After 23 years of trying, you are now doing.
We're doing.
For
I gotta
5
change
days,
the
you have
chip.
been doing.
Yeah.
You have been doing
So
that.
bringing people together, and as you bring people together, and you do it as you say in a sort of a way that makes sense and it doesn't cheapen the culture. It's authentic. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It has to be authentic.
Yeah, real.
If it's authentic, then everything works out. If it's not authentic, then it's bullshit. You know, it doesn't work out. So you do it authentically. You
Smoke
get real.
and mirrors.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yep.
Man, I fucking love that. Nick, what do you got?
This is one of my favorite subjects so far.
Is it?
And on it, to be 100% honest, I'm not much of a beer person.
I'm not either. Obviously, I'm drinking.
I'm even
Negronis.
less. I'm even less of a beer guy. But I remember loving the beer that I had with you at La Tropical back when you were at Concrete
At the
Beach.
sneak peek
Yeah.
launch at Concrete Beach. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Mike, I don't know if you're ready to start the wind down. I know that we want to get Manny out of here at a reasonable hour.
And
now the wind down. So Manny, I don't know whether your esteemed publicist Larry Carino prepared you for this, But
Larry's your publicist?
Yeah.
yeah, in
Oh,
fact,
man.
so Manny.
That's great. I love Larry,
He's a good guy,
even though we
yeah.
disagree so much.
So
He's a good guy.
I'm his
I-
most
Here we go.
difficult client.
So but I fucked up a little bit because Manny and I had been in touch since years and years ago, and then coincidentally, Larry had suggested we have Manny on as a guest, and I kind of mixed up all the things, and I got in touch with Manny, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this was clearly my idea to reach back out to Manny," and Larry was like, "Nick, could you please let Manny know that this was my idea?"
Nicholas.
Yeah. So credit to Larry Carino here. You know, this would have happened eventually, but it happened sooner than it would have otherwise. But anyway, so what I was going to say was, I don't know whether he prepared you, but we always do parting recommendations. So we end with everybody, not shameless plugs, because that comes after. That's where you let everybody know where to find you. But something you want to recommend to listeners. It could be absolutely anything. A song, a book, a
It's the only
dish.
structured part of the show.
Okay.
And that's being generous. And you can recommend as many things as you want.
Recommend a donut.
Yeah, I'm gonna start.
Okay.
I'm gonna recommend that everybody get on YouTube. This came out in the last few days. Vice put out the most fascinating short documentary I have seen in a long time. It's the story of the thong song. And it's
Watch this today.
I mean, seriously, it has everything. It
is riveting.
It has
Riveting.
musical creativity details. It has a legal battle.
Cisco's still around.
Cisco's still around. Cisco actually seems like a really nice dude.
Yeah. Shout out to Cisco. If you want to be on the show, Cisco, hit us up.
So, you know,
Love your music.
and also,
Got me through high school.
like at the time, I like you said, I was in high school. I didn't realize when I was listening to the thong song that even Cisco was just becoming aware of the existence of thongs.
Yeah.
This was like
No,
his-
I mean, I'm from Miami. I have known thongs that have
That's
been
the
around
thing.
for a long time.
and the video was in Miami. It's like Miami, and there's a bunch of buses with thong people.
Dun, 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 dun,
That's
dun.
right. So go check out the story of the thong song. This is a Vice short doc. It's available on YouTube. All those things. Manny, you have something you want to recommend?
Sure. So I'll recommend sort of something that I would recommend for our customers to discover at La Tropical. Okay. And there's two things that, or more than
I'm
two
sorry.
things.
I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you here. This sounds like a shameless plug.
Well, no, it's not a plug. It's
Okay,
not,
okay,
it's
okay.
Not, it's not
All right.
it's not about
Nick,
the beer.
shut your
it's not
mouth.
about the beer.
Hey, listen. I'm
So-
the cop around here.
So you know we're in Wynwood, right? So you know a big part of the culture in Wynwood is art. So I hire this art muralist named Rigo Leon. We've become very good friends now. A Cuban guy has been here maybe about 10 or 15 years. He's an artist, fantastic artist, and he had been recommended to me by another friend, Omar Pardillo, who's Celia Cruz's manages her estate.
Amen to him.
Yeah, super cool guy, and so we meet, we have an instant connection. Super nice guy. I like his style. He paints this art with a lot of movement and colors, and dance movements with these figurines, and he sold me on painting the outer walls of La Tropical. So we embark on some of the mock-ups that he's thinking of doing, whatever. And as I'm looking at him, I said, this looks wonderful, but is there anything else that you can add? He goes, well, I didn't want to tell you this, but because I didn't want you to think that you were going to hire me just for this, but my mother was a model for La Tropical in Cuba in the 1950s and 60s.
Wow.
And I would like to paint her on the wall.
Wow.
I said, well, okay, that's pretty cool. That's what an angle, man. That I hire this artist, and you start painting the wall, and then all of a sudden I find out. So anyhow, when you go to La Tropical, at the front entrance of La Tropical, you'll find a beautiful face with a Carmen Miranda-like thing on her head with fruit, and that is Rigo's mother in the 1950s.
Wow.
That he painted in the wall. So even the artist that we hire has a connection to the Cuban brewery pre-1960.
Jeez, how do you follow that up with parting recommendations?
So discover Regal's mom.
Pressure's on, Beltran.
Fuck, man. Parting recommendations. Jeez. All right, this has been a great show. I'm out of here, everyone. Fucking A. Man, that's amazing. I mean, I love the constant connection, right? That's like the biggest thing, I think. Nick, what are your parting recommendations?
I just recommended the thong song.
That was it?
I mean, yeah.
I feel
Mike is buying time.
I am 100% buying time right now. I have nothing to recommend.
Okay, so I'm also going to recommend.
There you go. Perfect.
I'll loan you this one.
Loan it.
And we shared this on Instagram, but go and check out Peter Santamaria's video about printmaking. We'll include the link in our show notes to that.
I'd like to
video.
recommend Peter Santamaria's printmaking video.
But you saw it, right? The one where he's at Miami-Dade? Yeah, it was super cool. So Peter Santamaria is a past guest. He's a printmaking artist. And
he also went to Columbus.
He also went to Columbus.
That's correct.
So anyway, yeah, check out that video. It was very cool to see that part of the process. Also, coming soon to dademag.com. This is my transition to shameless plugs.
That is such a shameless plug.
I'll do our shameless plugs, but there's a little bit of an overlap here. So, dademag.com. You can find Pan Con Podcast on all the social media things at Pan Con Podcast, ads at dademag.com. But also, very soon, I, as a favor, produced a video for past guest Ricardo Paullosa. Do you know him by any chance from the Alumni Association? Class of 70-something, maybe.
No, I don't think.
So he's a poet, Pulitzer-nominated poet, and a lot of his poetry is based on art. So he's also one of the foremost critics of Latin American art in the world. I would love for you two to meet if you haven't met before.
Yeah, I would love to meet him.
I'll take him over to La Tropical sometime.
Yeah, let's do that.
So I did a video for him because now that all the conferences are digital and via Zoom and all that, I did a video for him where he's reading some of his poetry. And most of his poetry is based on paintings, whether they're in his collection or paintings that he has seen out in the world. But there was one poem that did not have a corresponding artwork. And it was based on his, I guess, memories as a kid of going and watching Godzilla and King Kong movies. And so, I just sort of like as an FYI, I sent him some of Peter's work, and he was like, hey, why don't you ask Peter if we can use his work in this video? And so it's Ricardo reading poetry about King Kong and Godzilla.
That's amazing.
Over Peter's prints of King Kong and Godzilla.
That is incredible.
And so that's coming soon to dademag.com.
Oh, man. That is incredible, and I can't wait to see that.
Worlds colliding.
That is worlds colliding.
Yeah. And also, by the way, I also found it very gratifying as far as our podcast taste in art that Ricardo was like, I want that guy's stuff in my video.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Peter's amazing.
Peter's great.
Ricardo's also amazing, but different worlds of
different
art.
kinds of amazing.
Different worlds of art, for sure.
And so I will end my shameless plug segment by saying, if you want to support what we're doing around here, it's patreon.com/dademag.
Get yourself a mug.
MAG. If you're in the $15 or more category.
Look at Philip. He's so happy.
I mean, we have a lot of mug people now.
We do?
We have more mug people. Someone named Anthony Joffrey, I think is how you pronounce his name.
God bless him.
I don't know who that guy is. He's on his way to a mug. Congratulations, Anthony. You're a part of a small
I don't even
club.
have a fucking mug.
I've never even been in the same room as a mug.
I've been in a room with a mug, and it's pretty epic.
So that's patreon.com/dademag if you want to support what we're doing around here. Manny, plug all your things. Tell everybody where they can find your stuff.
Okay, so here's a shameless plug that is a fun story too. So a lot of stories at La Tropical.
That's what we're about here.
I have at La Tropical in the merchandising rack when you walk into the brewery, the only unopened bottle of La Tropical that
you showed me this.
Oh, wow.
It's over 100 years old.
That's cool.
And I have it behind glass, and so it's the only unopened bottle that I've been able to get my hands on. If one exists, I don't know where it is. And what's incredible is not just the bottle; it's the story behind the bottle. And the story behind the bottle is even more incredible. In 1998, the Miami Herald did an article on this legal strategy that I had put together when I started it. And 2 weeks later, I get a knock on my door. And it's a viejito, about 80 years old at that time. He had read the article in El Nuevo Herald that also published it as well.
Right.
And he found me, and he brought a shoebox with him. So I opened the door and let him in, and he tells me his story that, he had read the article in the Nuevo Herald, that this had been handed to him by his father. He didn't have any children, and it meant a lot to him. We were talking about again why it meant a lot to him, because it reminded him of his youth, of this vein that ran through his family of La Tropical, Jardina Tropical, and blah blah blah. And he said, I know you'll take care of it. I want to leave it with you. And I always said to myself, when I own a brewery one day and I can put this up on a shelf, it's going. So that bottle is at the brewery because this gentleman brought it to me 23 years ago.
Amazing.
And so when you go to La Tropical, make sure you go see the bottle. It's over 100 years old, because it's pretty, it's just a bottle, but it has so much meaning.
Of course. I have no shameless plug to follow that.
Pig Ink area at Miami.
Yeah,
the
people
tourists,
can follow all the things.
Nave Miami.
Yeah,
all those things.
All Chugs. We're
Do
doing.
you have a rapid fire Patreon thing? You want to do
When is
usually
Chugs open? I know you're under development right now.
Yeah, 5 months hopefully. That's the goal right now. 5 months. So
I mean, it'd be perfect timing. We'll be out of COVID. We'll be on the way out.
one can hope. One can hope.
Let's do a rapid fire this or that.
You want to do a rapid fire?
Yeah, your usual
All right, that's fine.
repertoire.
All
So
right.
if you're a Patreon only person,
For
this
the
is
mug
not-
people.
If you're not a Patreon person, this is where it ends. Boop. If you're a Patreon person,
It's a
you will hear
hot button issue.
hot. I mean, maybe hot. I don't know. I don't know what you have planned.
My
some
only shameless
lightning
plug,
round.
I think, would be to look out for PD's OnlyFans.
That's right. Petey's OnlyFans. Petey, if you are a fan of Petey the dog and you'd like to see extra pictures of his penis, that's OnlyFans.
And on Twitter, just because I like their name, look up OnlyFlans.
OnlyFlans.
I was a
That
big,
is really
I was
good.
a big fan of OnlyFlans.
All right. So if you're a Patreon person, this is not where it ends. You will hear Mike's rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire.
This or that for Manny Portuondo.